Hello, my name is Alcef, and my presentation today is on the topic elements of communication. In particular, I'll be looking at 6 elements. They are culture, perception, listening, verbal communication, non-verbal communication, and interpersonal relationship. I'll be looking at these elements by A, defining those elements, describing the effects of each element on communication, showing examples of each element type in the movie Coming to America, and finally I'm going to present my own personal evaluation of the communication process. Now let's begin part 1 of the presentation, which deals with communication elements. The first element that I'm going to be looking at this morning is culture. What is culture? According to Seoul 2011, culture is the way we do things, and it encompasses etiquette, custom, dress, manners, courtesy, rituals, and traditions. What is culture's effect on communication? Culture influences our communication and behavior by determining how we dress, act, eat, how and what we celebrate, how we raise and educate our children, and how we view life and death. Culture also influences our perception of the world, our language, non-verbal behavior, and relationships. A depiction of the African culture shown in the movie clip that I'm about to show you. Okay, my movie clip was somehow frozen, but you saw enough to see the dress, the dance, the movement, and also the music, which is African in nature. The second element is perception, as defined again by Seoul, is the process of acquiring, interpreting, and organizing information that is received through our senses. What is perception's influence on communication? Perception causes us to be drawn to certain things, stimuli in our environment because of certain dominant characteristics. Our perceptions are influenced by our experiences through a phenomenon called change blindness. What that means? It means that if we're used to seeing something a particular way, if that thing changes, we may still keep seeing it the original way because we're so used to that thing that we haven't recognized the change. What we see or perceive, whether through the dominant features of things in our environment or based on our experiences, will determine what we communicate to others. In this photo here, it is obvious that Akim and Semai, what they're perceiving from the activities are much different from what the others in the room are perceiving. Why? Because their background, their culture, their lifestyle, and their country of origin are so different that the way they see the activities are much different. You can see that he's amused. You can see that he's just taking it in. But the others, there's a smirk on their face. You can see that they're annoyed or they're just, they're just irritated by the performances. So that shows that their perception of what they're seeing and the way they're receiving it is different from the rest of the room. Next, we're going to be looking at listening. This is our third element. Listening is the process of physically hearing and interpreting sound and understanding the significance of it. What is listening's effect on communication? Crowley 2013 identifies 5 distinct levels of listening at which all human beings listen. They are ignoring, pretend listening, selective listening, attentive listening, and emphatic listening. The level at which we listen will determine how effectively we communicate to others. In this photo right here, Imani is listening to Akim. But you can see that she is fixed on him. Why is she so fixed on him? Because she is listening attentively. She has to listen because she was trained to please him. So she has to hear every word that he says in order that she accurately pleases him. Next, we're going to be looking at verbal communication. What is verbal communication? It is communicating using words. How does it affect communication? SOUL 2011 identifies 5 characteristics of verbal communication. Not 5, sorry, a number of characteristics. First, language is the primary code that we use to communicate our words. Second, there are several types of languages. And third, language has function which includes instrumental, regulatory, personal, ritual, and heuristic. Words are very important and central to communication. It is vitally important that those words are communicated clearly, as in this case, in this clip that I'm about to show you. In this clip, we have an exchange between a landlord and a future tenant. And in such a situation, it's very important that words be spoken and the words are very clear. You have to understand what you're getting into, and the tenant has to explain to you everything concerning the lease. Now, we're going to look at words and how they play into verbal communication. There are many uses of words in the movie Coming to America. Some examples are right here. What are words? Words create reality. Example, when Cleo calls Akim's son in the movie where Lisa finds out that he's a prince, Cleo is saying to Akim, "You're now a member of my family. You're now an integral part of my household." Words also reflect attitudes. Example, when Cleo says, "Your little goat herder makes Daryl look like a wealthier kid," he is showing the disparity between Akim and Daryl in terms of wealth. Words have levels of abstraction. Cleo says, "The boy is rich, the boy is rich," and then he says he has his own money. What is he saying? He's not only saying that he's rich, but he's qualifying the level of richness by saying he has his own money. Words have multiple intentions and interpretations. Example, Cleo says to Lisa, "You did it this time, you hit the jackpot." Not only is Cleo saying that Lisa married has found a good man, he's also saying that you have gotten very wealthy. You've gotten a man who really has it this time. Words convey messages beyond the words. Example, Akim says, "Lisa, I must leave." He's not saying that he's leaving a house. He's saying that there is something beyond this conversation. There's something out there that I have to attend to that's important and urgent. Words have meanings we attach to them. For example, Cleo says he has his own money. Obviously, Cleo is saying that he is rich. Next, we're going to look at non-verbal communication. This is communication of a message without words, and it encompasses a wide range of vocal and visual signs and behavior according to SOUL. Effects on communication. The elements of non-verbal communication are of 2 types. Vocal elements, which include speech and tone. Visible non-vocal elements, which include eye movement, body language, facial expression, and hand gestures. And elements of non-verbal communication are nowhere more evident than in the opening scene of the movie Coming to America. I'm going to show you a clip from the opening scene. the smiling, the head movements, the claps, and all the different activities that they're going through that particular morning are all types of non-verbal communication. Now we're going to look at our final element, which is interpersonal relationship. Interpersonal relationships are people involved in a relationship who are interdependent. The effects on communication: the parties need each other and depend on each other in some way, so that dependence creates a communication link. The parties have consistent patterns of interacting and communicating with each other. So consistency in interaction is consistent communication. The nature of the relationship is not determined immediately, but it evolves over time and is redefined. This means that over time, this relationship grows and expands. Communication becomes closer. And finally, interpersonal relationships contain a reciprocal set of expectations and rules, often unspoken, about how each person in the relationship should behave. Those rules tie them together in a deep level of communication that is much deeper sometimes than regular, just casual communication. Now, central to the movie is the relationship between Akeem and Lisa, and this is a picture that shows them communicating in a very interpersonal, close, connected way. Also, the marriage between Lisa and Akeem at the end of the movie shows the wedding celebration, shows even a closer level of interconnectedness again. Soul states that the purpose of interpersonal relationship is to meet personal needs, to learn about self and others, to help people build and maintain relationships with each other. Interpersonal relationships forces people to improve their communication skills and modify habits and practices to accommodate other people. So, as I said, this is an example of, again, of interpersonal relationships. We have come to the end of section 1 of part 1, and we are now beginning part 2, which is the summary of the whole presentation. The first part looks at my personal evaluation of the communication process. Communication is of several types ranging from casual to interpersonal, and those communication types include a combination of both verbal and nonverbal attributes. This wide-ranging communication spectrum allows for certain qualities to be lumped together based on similarities. These lumps are called elements. We as human beings access and utilize these elements on a daily basis to transmit messages to others. Each individual communicates in his or her own unique way because each person picks, mix, and utilizes specific elements out of the communication band to produce many amazing combinations, and the way each person communicates, which elements they utilize, and to what extent is influenced by factors such as culture and perception. To understand clearly what a person is trying to communicate, the recipient must practice active listening. Poor listening skills lead to poor communication, misunderstanding, and conflict. Since communication is central to both our personal and professional lives, learning proper communication skills is vitally important to more productive lives and more fruitful relationships. So that's my personal take on the communication process. Now we'll look at a quick review of what we've learned through this entire exercise. This presentation looked at elements of communication by looking at 6 of those elements. Each element was defined and the effect of each on communication was described. The film Coming to America was searched for examples of each element type, and some of those examples were depicted using photos and movie clips. Finally, my own evaluation of the communication process was explored. And finally, my references were from Carly D. 2013, The 5 Levels of Listening, Soul K. Making Connections, Understanding Interpersonal Relationships, and several clips from YouTube, which includes the movie Coming to America Part 1, Coming to America Part 3, Coming to America Part 6, and Lisa Discovers Akeem is a Prince. Thank you very much. This was enjoyable, and thanks for listening. Thank you. Bye.